Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jessica Canellis, and I want to thank you guys for joining us for our webinar today for Simplify Manufacturing Data Management with MFiles and ERP. If you guys have any questions throughout the webinar or after, here is all of our contact information. You can contact Jim for anything. You can contact myself, Jessica Canellis, for Intuitive. You can contact Gary for Made to Manage. You can contact James Cooey for Acumatica, HR, Payroll, Time and Attendance. You can contact Jim McCormick. And then for MFiles or any type of document management, you can contact Brendan. And today we have Daniel from ImageX to show us more about MFiles. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it on over to Daniel so we can get started.
Hi, thanks, Jess. This is Daniel, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let me know when you can actually see my screen.
Yes, I see your desktop.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to move my MFiles over there. Let me know if this is the right screen. Can you see this screen?
Yes.
Wonderful, thank you. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to give the attendees a quick high-level overview of what MFiles is, and then I'm going to go dig a little bit deeper and show you how we actually integrate with other platforms, other lines of business. One of the ones that we're going to actually showcase in this webinar is the one for Acumatica. We're going to actually show you how MFiles is able to integrate with Acumatica, how we are able to actually sync some of the information from Acumatica into MFiles, and show the linking mechanism that we have in place where, a document that we capture can be actually linked back into Acumatica's SaaS platform. So first thing first, here is my MFiles UI. So within MFiles itself, very straightforward UI for users to pick up and learn. The learning curve for this is usually within a couple of hours to maybe a day or two for net new users. And if users are comfortable using Google or going shopping on Amazon, this is a platform that they can actually pick up and use easily. So for example, I am on the top right-hand corner. I'm going to go ahead and actually perform a keyword search, invoices, which everyone should have a lot. You might have thousands and thousands of invoices. In my environment, I do have over 1,000. And if I try to look for all my invoices in this 1,000, it's going to be too much work. Usually what I do is I like to actually add additional keywords to limit my result set from thousands to a smaller subset. Even for 2024, I still have a lot. So I can actually specify the vendor, the customer, and hopefully that will narrow down my search from thousands to hundreds to something less than 100. And as I add additional keywords into the system, that should limit my result set to a very manageable number of items. Once I identify the document in question, I can actually select it, look at the metadata of the document itself, and actually look at the preview of the document itself, right? One of the things that MFiles does really well is not only are we looking at the actual metadata in the body, in the metadata part of the document, we can actually look at the information that's in the body of the document. Once the document is OCR searchable, everything within the actual document, doesn't matter how many pages you have, become searchable. So I can come in here and look at this customer PO number, which is right here. I can grab that customer PO number and perform a search. I can add it to my search, and that should actually get me to that one singular document, right? And then once MFiles is able to look for it, I can go in here and scroll down and find the actual number right here, the PO number. Or I don't even have to specify these additional information because that PO number is somewhat unique, right? I can actually just type in the search for that PO number, and it should locate any document that has that PO number in the document itself. So right now, looking at this PO, we have about 7 different documents that reference that PO number, right? Nice and simple way for us to find information. One of the things that MFile does really well is the speed of how fast the search is. When I type in invoice, we're looking at over thousands of invoices, but we're able to find a result very, very quickly, right? And that is because of the engine that mFiles has that speeds up the actual process of looking for data. Once you identify what you're looking for by just selecting the document, we can actually see a preview of the document, right? Very, very quickly. Another feature that we have within mFile is we have something called a search filter. Anytime we perform a search, mFiles dynamically creates these search filters for us, where we can actually use these filters to expedite our finding that needle in a haystack. So same search we did earlier, we're looking at 2023, we're looking at the month of April, we're looking at the customer company, Canon, we're looking at vendor pricing. I'm able to actually use our dynamically generated filters to find our content very, very quickly. And here is the document in question, right? So we're able to actually bypass typing in the keywords by using our search filters that mFile generate for us dynamically, so we can actually get to it much, much quicker. So this is a better experience from what you have in other legacy systems you might have. This is kind of one of its kind of how quickly these dynamic searches can help you fine-tune your result set. If users are not comfortable doing the search, mFiles also have another mechanism called common views, where the user can actually go and use Windows Explorer-like features to kind of dig into the folders to find the document they're looking for. Same thing. I'm going to my customer and document type. I'm looking for the company Canon. I'm looking for vendor pricing. I'm looking for the year 2023. I'm looking for April. And here is the same document that I was able to search for earlier using our smart search or keyword search. A lot of different ways that we can get to the document itself. Once we're in the document, we can actually send out the document to somebody. We can actually send as a PDF, right? Literally, you can right-click on the document and say, hey, I want to go ahead and actually attach this document as a PDF, and I can go ahead and send it to an external user because it attached it to the body of the email itself. So from here, they can actually send this to them. If you want, right, we also have different mechanisms that you can use to share the content with somebody else. One of the things that we have is something called a visitor link. So this is kind of like the Mission Impossible style, where you create a link and have it be active for X number of days until the 28th. Once you send this link to the actual individual, the link will expire in X number of days that you have predefined. So when they click on this link, right, the users will actually have access to the document on a browser. And here is the actual link in action. They don't need a login. They don't need a password. You can literally share this public link with them, send it via an email, and then they can click on the link and they'll take them to the download page. And from there, they can actually open the document and view the document and download the document and print the document, right? Very simple, easy way to deliver information to external parties that do not have access to your system. And this is a mechanism that's actually built mFiles. We have another way that you can actually share the content is you can actually create a content link that defines someone's email. I'm going to type in my email address. So when I add this address in here, when I send this link to somebody, right, they need to actually be prompted for a login and password, because this is more of a secure link. Meaning you can't just send the link to anybody, they can open it. The person that received that email is the only person that can actually have access to this. So different mechanisms to actually access a link. So right now, this is a unique link that only Daniel Ma and ImageX Inc. have access to. Right? Somebody else cannot use this link and grant access to anybody else. So this is a nice, secure way that you can actually share content with third-party people via this link. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and actually skip this and jump back into mFiles. Within mFiles, one of the key points that we have in here is our history, our version control. Anytime documents or change, modify, edit, we have this tracking mechanism. This is our audit trail that tracks everything that happens to the document. Any changes to the metadata, any changes to the document itself is actually tracked by mFiles automatically. So this is kind of your compliance right here. So if you know who changed something, mFiles keeps the audit trail to each document that is available for anybody within the organization, not just IT, right? It's any user that has access to mFiles, they can actually come to the audit trail, look and see what was actually changed in the document and who changed it last and when it was changed. Great way to use to keep track of your SOPs and see what changes were made to the system itself. So this is the basic audit trail. We also have another mechanism in place that actually help us with changes in the audit trail itself. So same thing, I'm gonna go into my history. You're gonna have a lengthy history of documents in the system, version 1 to version 35, and it's been changed over the last 2 years by me, Alex, and one of the admins in our system. We also have this ability to compare the differences between one version of the document and another version. mFiles has a lot of intelligence services built in, where we can actually leverage the intelligence services to help us compare the differences between documents. So you can actually have SOPs in the system and use mFile to help you identify changes made to your SOP, right? Or if you send out contracts to third parties, right? You can actually compare the differences between your original contract and any red line or edit contract made by third party. Once you bring it back into mFile, you can actually show the differences between versions that you had and versions that came back into the system. So one of the common questions someone asked me is, well, they send it back as a PDF. How do I compare the PDF? I don't want to look side by side, compare my Word document in PDF. What you can do within mFiles is actually compare with a different document. So if somebody sends you the same document back as a PDF, we can actually compare the document you have in mFiles to the actual PDF itself, and that will actually use the mFiles intelligence services to help you identify changes actually made to the document between a Word and a PDF version of the document. And give it one quick second. So comparing Word and PDF does take a little bit longer than comparing Word to Word, just because of it being two different formats. So here we have it. So we actually have changes made to here and over here, right? Anytime there's a change, mFiles will identify where the changes are. You can actually click on it. It will tell you where it added, where it actually deleted certain items. And here is your change comparison between PDF and Word document. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and jump into more of the intelligence services. Within mFiles itself, we have something called the I know engine. This is the intelligent assistant that we built into mFiles, where you can actually use that to analyze the document, right? Kind of like interrogate the document. You can actually have I know summarize a document if you want to. If you have a lengthy report, right, rather than reading it, you can have I know look at a document and say, hey, I know, go ahead and give me a summary of what the document is. And here's a quick summary. And depending on how much information you want, you can actually say, you know what, can you add more detail? That's not enough. It's too condensed, right? Please provide more context. It will add a couple more lines. And you can do the same thing and say, I want to condense it. It's too early. I don't want to read, 20 lines of text. I want to go condense it. You can condense it. And you can actually translate the document from language A to language B. Right now we have English. I'm going to go ahead and translate to something else, Spanish, for example. And now we can actually translate that information into Spanish. Okay? And what I can also do is I can actually grab this translated language and add it into the metadata for us if that's something I want to do. So if I want to add this data into mFiles as part of metadata, I can add this, and now that is part of my metadata. One of the features that we do actually want to mention quite a bit of is the ability to actually interact or interrogate the document. I can say what are the important dates, right? And that itself will actually interrogate that singular document and provide context back, right? So if you have a lengthy document, you don't want to actually look at it. You can actually interrogate the document itself, ask some questions, get some responses back from the INO engine. So this is our basic INO engine that is actually available on the business version of M-Files. We also have a professional version of INO, which allows you to interrogate everything in the whole system, not just one document at a time. But I'm going to go ahead and actually spend some time on that on a future webinar. I'm going to go ahead and spend the next 14 minutes on the Acumatica integration. So this is a quick high-level overview of how M-Files can help you store documents, find documents, use M-Files to track your SOPs, to figure out who made changes, or compare the differences in documents itself. Now I'm going to go ahead and switch gears a little bit and go into my Acumatica environment. So very similar, within this environment, I have documents, and this is more focused on Acumatica. I store different documents in the system. I store customers that we actually have linked with Acumatica. We store vendors that we have linked, right? So if I want to look at a vendor in here, AA services, we actually created direct integration where we can actually click on the link, and that will actually bring me into the Acumatica platform and show me who that AA services is in more detail. And then from here, I can actually look at additional screens within the Acumatica listing, AA services, who they are, 4785 Westgate Drive, Georgia, United States. And then I can actually look at other information they have in the system itself, right? This is a direct integration against Acumatica and M-Files where we can actually leverage information in either systems to kind of help build a unique experience for our knowledge workers. So when they're looking for content, it's easily linked between the two systems. So if I'm on a document if I'm on a vendor in here, I can actually look at their information by clicking here and taking me to Acumatica. And then if I want to look at documents that they have, for example, this particular document, I can click on the document, and the document tells me what it is, right? Tells me information, and then here is actually a link that'll take me to the same information in Acumatica. So this will give me a quick high-level overview of what the invoice is, so that I don't really have to open Acumatica if I don't need to, right? Because this document that is stored here has the link to Acumatica. So if I do want additional information, I can actually go here and access the information in Acumatica. And one of the key reasons that we use M-Files with Acumatica is the data management, document management in Acumatica is somewhat limited in terms of searching. As I showed you earlier before the Acumatica demo, we were able to actually get to the contents really very quickly. And this is taking a little bit of time. I think this is more of a connection issue than anything else. Here we go. So I was able to click on this link, and that brings me into the Acumatica, and that tells me more information about that specific invoice. Right. One of the reasons why we don't keep the documents in Acumatica is we could actually store a document in here by uploading a document into this specific account, but we lose a lot of the search capabilities that we have in M-Files, where we can do a smart search, the facet search, the keyword search. A lot of that is missing if we just put the file and save them in Acumatica. And hence, that's one of the reasons why we developed this integration piece, so that you can have the best of both. You can have the linking between the two systems where information is exchanged back and forth, and then any of the documents that we save into M-Files itself is actually linked back into the Acumatica environment itself, right? So you're basically using Acumatica to track the transactions, and using M files to house the paper documents or scanned documents or correspondence, which will allow much quicker and easier search experience. I'm going to go ahead and actually stop my presentation at this point and see if there's any questions posed by anyone attending the meeting. Jess, can you take a look and see if there's any questions or anything in chat?
Yes, there is one. They want to know if it will work with the Intuitive product.
I think that is something that PeopleSense is working on right now. Right. I don't know what the timeline is. I know Mage Management is also a candidate in terms of integrations. So right now, the first one that was done is the Acumatica one, and based on interest from the different customers, we might shift the priority, maybe work on the Intuit one first before anything else. I'm sorry, that's not a direct response, but it's more of a it is a response, but that doesn't quite answer your question. Sorry about that.
So it can work Intuitive. We just don't have the connection yet.
Yes.
Okay. So
Yeah,
that. Go ahead.
What I was going to say was that the current customer who is an Intuitive user, that is going to be in phase 2. They're currently in phase 1 of the project. In phase 2, we are going to be building that integration.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the only question I have right now.
Got it. Actually, if there's not a lot of questions, I'm going to go and actually show additional features of the iKnow AI engine. So this is actually the professional version of the AI engine, which will allow the users to interrogate across documents in the whole environment and not just one single one. Yeah, the Acumatica integration is actually pretty simple, right? Once we have it set up, there's not too much to talk about because it just works. And hopefully, once we get to the point where we can start working on other integrations, it'll be the same use case, right? Once we configure the system, mFiles talks to your Mage Management into it and just exchange data, and you can just have a seamless experience. This is something that I do want to actually show everyone in here. What mFiles can do in this professional version of the iKnow engine is I can come in here and basically ask a question and have iKnow look at all the documents in the system. So I can say, find candidates with payroll experience. And what mFiles will do is, it will look at all the different documents in the system and identify any candidates with resume that has payroll experience. So we can actually use iKnow to help us find information easily. Okay. So based on the question, iKnow was able to review some documents, identify these top 3 candidates that have experience with payroll. And then once you click on the actual source, it will take you to the document, right? And you can actually see a preview of the document and see what his experience is, right? And then you can actually interrogate the document even further and say, what are the important dates in this document? So it will actually look at this particular resume, find anything that has dates in it. It essentially kind of summarize all the dates of different positions that Ben has over the years. And here we have it. So system is able to identify he was a financial controller from this time frame, director of finance from that time frame, accounting from that time frame, etc. So this is a nice, easy way for you to save time rather than actually looking through a lengthy resume. You can actually have AI look at the document itself, interrogate the content, and provide feedback based on that information. This is something that mFile is actually spending a lot of time on to enhance the product so that we can actually, provide enough value where it moves the needle for your company, right? Either from HR standpoint, from a financial standpoint, right? Or from security or operations standpoint, where you can interrogate the system and ask for information that's actually in the system. One of the example I have was, I think I was in a demo and someone asked me, hey, can you find any contracts with expiration date 2025, right? So that was something that might be important rather than having to look through all the contracts we have the system. And let me change this 2024 and see if there's anything in here for 2024. So this is something that the AI engine can actually help you with is once you have enough content in M files, you can actually use the AI engine with I forgot which one has it. So you can actually ask questions specifically, and depending on what the content is, AI will come back and say, hey, these are the contracts that have exclusive, in this case, exclusive clause. And this is something that actually has it, rather than having the user go through the system to look for contracts with an exclusive clause or with some type of end date, termination date in the year 2025, 2024. You can actually have the I know engine help you with some of these tasks that you are assigned to specific users within the company. So right now, mFiles I know Professional is about 6 months old. Basic version came out about a year ago. So we are still in the infancies of what the I know engine can do. In the next 3 or 6 months, there's going to be a lot more features that the system can do for the users. I'm going to go ahead and actually end it right here, Jess.
I don't have any questions.
Got it. Should we go ahead and end this webinar right now?
Yeah, we can, but I think Brendan wanted to say something first.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Brendan.
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys know, my name's Brendan James. As you saw in the beginning of the slide, I'm kind of in charge over here for PeopleSense, all things document management related. First of all, thank you so much to Jess and Daniel for all of your guys' help putting this thing together and helping it work so smoothly. And most importantly, thank you all for attending. I do appreciate your guys' time. I know we all have stuff going on in our own lives, so finding time to do things like this is always, a luxury. I do want to say that it is good to keep in mind that this was a bit of a short webinar. Like Daniel was saying, we didn't have all the time in the world to go over all the features, functionalities, and use cases that might, pertain more to your guys' specific company. That being said, mFiles is highly customizable. It's best to set up to solve your particular pains and at the end of the day, make your life easier. I actually, funny enough, they asked if there was an intuitive, if it works with intuitive. I actually spoke with one of our intuitive customers who adopted mFiles before we even became a reseller of mFiles. And we probably spoke on the phone for about an hour and a half, and 90% of that time was just him telling me how much he loved the product and how it kind of changed the outcome for the company. He even went on to tell me how his coworkers who became accustomed to using mFiles, when they would go on to different opportunities at different manufacturing companies, that they would do everything that they could in their power to convince the new company to implement mFiles, and then those companies eventually did go on to take on mFiles itself. And I don't want to be like the guy I spoke on the phone with. I don't want to talk to you guys for an hour and a half about how much I love mFiles, so I'm just going to leave it there. But please feel free to reach out to me. I'm sure I will be calling most of you guys and just seeing what you thought of the webinar and seeing if you guys would like to attend the next one next week, same time.
Yeah, again.
And in that
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, real quick, Jess. Yeah. And in that webinar, we're going to be covering a little more stuff, a little more use case towards quality and compliance.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for taking time out of your day. Thank you, Brendan. Thank you, Daniel. Everyone, just have a great rest of your day. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact any one of us here. Oh, there was a question that popped up. There we go. Oh, they just said thank you and look forward to the next one. We look forward to seeing you there too. So thank you, everybody. Contact us if you have any questions.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.